What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush. Let's talk Jets. Hope everybody's had an excellent week. The weather in New Jersey's been 70s, a little bit of 80s, sunny, so plenty of good vibes here. The NFL draft has come and gone, and now it's a part of the offseason where you try to assess your roster. You look at your free agent moves, the incoming class, and if you say, what is the team's prospects? Like, what is realistic to expect from the New York Jets in 2025? Now, there's a portion of this fan base that didn't want to hire Aaron Glenn and still pissed off about it, where they wanted the more experienced coach, whether it was Brian Flores, Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll, whoever else. Then you add in the fact the team moved on from Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. That pissed a lot of people off, saying it's a tank season and there's no direction, no chance to win. There's also a part of the fan base that says, you know what? I like Aaron Glenn. He earned this job, and he's learned some of the best in football, whether it's Parcells, Pete Carroll, Belichick, Sean Payton. And moving on with a young player like Justin Fields, maybe you catch lightning in a bottle, but the culture is going to be changing with a whole different energy and hopefully a whole different sense of leadership and accountability. So either way you look at it, it is what it is. Here we are, May 2nd, and we got to say, what do we think about this team? And I'll say this isn't the same team that Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh inherited, where we're like, oh, this is a terrible roster, and we gave the organization pretty much 2 years just a wash. Like, you know what? It's a rebuild. We expect nothing. That's not happening this year. We do expect things this year, as we should, for a variety of reasons, and we can outline some of them now. The first thing is the offensive line. The addition of Membu hopefully solidifies this line where you have a much more physical, dominant, aggressive line that can help you establish a running game, which will let Breece Hall and Davis and Brown Allen flourish, and also give Justin Fields opportunities in the passing game. Now, I'll say this. A big part of this video is assuming this team to be much better coached, better disciplined, not all these stupid penalties and all this other nonsense. Like, you're going to see a whole new mindset out of this team. So that's assuming that. So if you have a nasty offensive line and you can run the football, you can control the clock, you can wear down the defense, open up the passing game, you can let Justin Fields run, and you have playmakers in Mason Taylor, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, the backfield, assuming that they can scheme these guys open. Like this, the NFL shouldn't be this difficult. We've been so used to bad football and poorly coached teams and terrible schemes and awful play calling that we've just so beaten down. We don't know what to expect. We have a higher standard now, as we should with the playmakers out of here. I wouldn't mind if the Jets add another wide receiver, maybe another tight end, to be honest with you. Veterans to the mix, the more the merrier, to give as many resources as possible to score points. Defensively, obviously the Jets still need some help on the run stuffer, but I think you got to have some kind of faith, trust the process, with Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilks to maximize the resources on this defense. The one thing I love that Aaron Glenn keeps saying is, listen, I'm going to assess all the talent on my roster and then put together my scheme, not force a scheme on players and have guys get pushed out. So they got to realize as intelligent football men that stopping the run is a priority. They've mentioned it, and they're going to find ways to do that. In terms of pass rushers, hopefully Jermaine Johnson comes back healthy. You got Will McDonald, but you have a very good, talented corners too, and the secondary for that matter. Safety position is a little bit concerning. Maybe you add somebody else there, but there's too much talent here on defense to say, you know what, we're going to suck this year and be a 25th defense in the NFL. I think you can do it with smoke and mirrors. You can do it with physicality. You can do it with good technique. They can find ways to win. Special teams. Aaron Glenn, learning from Bill Parcells, will put a priority on special teams. It's a lot of hidden yards, hidden points in there where you can take advantage of things, even with the rule changes. So you expect better play there. Not sure why Zerline's on the team, but whatever. I'm hoping that he's replaced soon. But overall, you look at this team and say, this is not a team that should contend for the AFC East. I'm not going to talk 10, 12 wins, nothing like that. But to me, the floor is 6, 7 wins. That is a team that should be, the expectation for me is compete week in and week out, smart, physical, nasty football, not, create turnovers, don't give away the ball, do all these basic things, and that puts you where you are. If you get lucky that Justin Fields takes off and plays better than we expect, even better. But that's where I'm at. Like, I'm not having, this should be a 2-win year. No, I even though with all the change and the learning curves and the growing pains and everything else going to happen, especially early on, this team should still be competitive. And anything less than that should be unacceptable. I'm not saying if they end up 4-13, you fire anybody, because this is going to be a process where Aaron Glenn is clearly the big man in charge here, and is taking no nonsense from everybody, and that's to weed out a lot of bad attitudes, a lot of bad contracts. But while doing that, you got to replace them and teach this young core how they want them to play like a Jet. So again, my expectations, at least 6, 7 wins. I'm hoping to get to 9. but I expect a much more exciting season and a blue-collar team that we can be proud of. And that I guess that's what I'm looking for. Is you just gotta. I'm so tired of being a battered and beaten Jet fan. When you go in the season every year so excited and they don't show up, they don't play physical, they embarrass themselves, they play sloppy, careless, reckless, and you walk away like, what are we doing? Like, I'm tired of feeling like that. My expectation this year is going to change. And if you get in that 6-7 win category, which is an improvement, what you're doing while you're doing this is that you're assessing what you need going forward. So you say, listen, okay, we established our young core. We know what we need. If Justin Fields isn't the answer, you bring him back next year and you find another young quarterback. I know a lot of people are talking about, the timing of Jordan Travis's retirement. And I found that interesting too. Like, I'm curious if the Jets knew about that before the draft. Because if they did, I would have took a flyer on somebody late in the 6th or 7th round, a Will Howard or whatever else. I know they got cooked, but I still would have took a flyer to get a guy in the building to start grooming. I understand they have Adrian Martinez, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that Travis thing is kind of interesting. The Jets will never admit to anything, but I get it. But, you're identifying your building blocks this year to grow even more next year, but this year is not a wash year. I'll talk to you guys later.